Hey guys, Sarkkoth here. I know it's been a while since I've talked to you guys like this. I've actually been sick this past week, and so while I was lying in bed, I decided to rewatch some Steins Gate Zero, the anime. And I know people have been wondering how I feel about it, and it's kind of a mixed bag. And so I thought I'd take this video to explain my feelings about the anime. I mean, after all, it's already about half. It's actually over halfway done now, so I figure, hey, might as well say what I think on the subject. So anyway, first off, it's pretty noticeable that it's quite different from the VN. It's like they took all of the routes and kind of smashed them together, which has some upsides and some downsides, really. The kind of downside is my favorite route was actually Promised Renascimento. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry, but you know the one with the Krisu from episode 8. But then it leads into the spoilers, I guess. It leads into the whole World War III thing, and then him coming back as Hohen Kilma. But instead, we went to Recursive Mother Goose, and then now we're kind of just going from there, I guess, into the Mayuri route, which is Vega and Altair, I believe. But I wanted to see the second half of Promised Renascimento because that was my favorite Hohen Kilma reveal. So I was a little disappointed by that because I feel like we won't get that specific reveal. So I hope the anime can at least do something at least as good as in the VN, because that was my favorite part. Because you had no idea that Hohen Kilma. Well, you figured he was coming back, but you had no idea he was coming back in that moment, and then you're like, oh my god, finally. And I love that. Another thing I didn't like really was in episode 4, they just kind of like skipped over the Okinawa battle thing. Where he it was after the Christmas party, I believe. He gets taken to another world line by the Russians. And we find out it's because the Russians were experimenting, and in that world line, it's the Soviet Union. They have the ability to move world lines, and so as such, the world is a lot different. And the war is broken out in all over Tokyo and all over Japan. It's like cut in half, I believe, and Tokyo's in flames. And we got like this whole interesting segment and everything with like you're trying to figure out what's going on. It slowly dawns on you like, oh crap, they know about reading Steiner, and so I don't know. And it kind of tied into Fubuki and her like mini reading Steiner, which that was all taken out, and I don't know. I kind of wish that they added at least an episode of that rather than like, I don't know, 5 minutes. And so, and that, and along with the encephalitis thing, that plot line kind of just dropped too, because that was pretty much tied into that, and now we haven't really heard them talking about it. I mean, we see Leskinen like strolling around the hospital, but it doesn't feel like a major plot point. It feels kind of like on the back burner. And speaking of Leskinen, I feel like the villains have become too obvious in the anime. In the VN, I don't know if this is because I wasn't paying attention. I actually had no idea that Leskinen was the villain, because my first route was actually Gehenna Stigma. I think that's how you pronounce it. GS, and it's the bad route. And I was like, oh my god, Leskinen, why? And then I'm like, truly, this is the worst timeline as the credits roll. And everything just built up from there. But I just feel like in the anime, they make it way too obvious who the bad guys are. So there's not that tension. Where in the VN, I had no idea. Like, you had a sort of idea, like, is it CERN? Is it Russia? Is it this or that? But you kind of get a feel for who are the villains in the anime a lot easier, in my opinion. I mean, for a little bit, I actually thought Yuki in the VN might have been the bad guy, and she kind of was, if you follow one of the routes or two. But yeah, which reminds me of the Kagari thing. In the VN, I liked Kagari in some of the routes, and some of the other routes she was kind of meh. I didn't really like the whole disguise herself as Yuki thing in the VN. I thought it was kind of dumb. But I didn't mind her in like Recursive Mother Goose and stuff like that, because I always felt like she gave Mayuri more of a purpose than just being like a second fiddle to Kurisu all the time. It gave her something to do, really. I mean, it's kind of bad to say, but even she laments how she doesn't feel that useful all the time. And so I think focusing on time with her daughter made sense. And yeah, I liked the whole Krisu's memories taking over Kagari and everything, and it was interesting enough. How it is in the anime though, she's like all brainwashed, so it's kind of like the one where she was in the rider suit the whole time in the VN. But I don't know, it's all mixed together. So she just now got kidnapped. Although I did like how we saw the holding facility she was in. That was kind of awesome. You're like, oh shit, she's lived a fucked up life. Let me think. What else did I want to talk about? Oh yeah, episode 8 is my favorite by far. It was one of my favorite scenes in the VN as well, but they took it kind of in a different direction, where you saw what everybody went through in the Alpha World line, and not just Okabe and Krisu. I thought that was pretty great. I loved the scene with the light coming down and Okabe holding his hand up to the sky, and it was reminded me of the Mayuri scene, which is of course what they were referencing. Oh yeah, and then of course the ending, which I know some people didn't get it. They're like, why what was the D-mail? Why is she running? And it was because obviously she sent a D-mail to herself to slow herself down, so Okabe didn't hear her saying she loved him, and so he just jumped to the beta line, which is pretty sad. And I love that episode. I rewatched that one like, I don't know, 4 or 5 times already. I'm not even lying. I like that one. Some of the things though, like stuff like the lab getting attacked, it was great when it happened, but then afterwards it was like, okay. The Zero anime kind of has like this up and down of tenseness, followed by goofing off, followed by tense, goofing off. I don't know, it's kind of like up and down, whereas the original Steins Gate was just like a slow build and then just shot up into craziness. This is kind of like a up and down roller coaster a bit, which I guess is okay. I mean, I already played the VN, so it's like I'm not missing anything. I hope the whole combine all the routes thing turns out well when it's all said and done. Right now, it's kind of up in the air. In the latest episode, I did like the extra stuff we saw with Suzuha and Daru, and then she had the brainwashing machine and all that, and you're like, oh crap, is that the prototype what Leskin used? I mean, I don't know. They didn't really explain it in the VN. They also didn't really, you didn't get a scene of seeing Yuki getting destroyed by a drone. It was just a pretty sad scene. That's one thing I like about the anime, is that some stuff they only talked about in the VN you actually didn't see. But other than that, it's like I said, it's been kind of a mixed bag. The original Steins Gate is amazing, and I don't know if Zero will live up to it, but I'm still entertained, and I'm still tuning in every week because it's Steins Gate, and I love Steins Gate. I've played all the VNs, and as you guys know, I even make the videos for the animated dramas, and I'm definitely going to watch every single episode. But yeah, I guess that about wraps up my thoughts. It's just, yeah, it's a fun watch, and I guess I'll talk to you guys later whenever I feel the need to. I don't know, I consider doing the live streams again, but I haven't gotten an idea of what, maybe it'll be the same as before. I hadn't thought of the format or anything, but I had this mic, and I was like, hey, maybe I should start making videos on the channel like I used to, where I would talk actually with my voice. So that's where this video came from. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot, Maho is definitely my favorite of the Zero characters in this. She's had a lot of character growth already, and I don't know, her scenes are always pretty funny, especially with AI Krisu. I love those. Anyway, thanks for listening to my ramblings, and thanks for watching my channel. Let me know if you guys want me to give my thoughts on the new episodes as they come out, because I considered it ever since episode 1, but nobody ever asked me. And I mostly work on just the animated dramas and some of the live action subbing. And I've had a couple people ask me, so I'm like, why not? It's not hurting anybody. So if you want to hear my thoughts on the episodes, let me know in the comments. And yeah, see you guys later.